to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson makes someone miss. Garrett Wilson's loose to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Breece Hall cuts up the middle. Breece Hall's loose. Breece Hall's gone. Breece Hall is gone. He walks into the end zone. Josh Allen fires it over the middle. Intercepted. Sauce Gardner picks off Allen. Sauce Gardner, let's go. The rookie picks off Josh Allen. Win it. Let's go. Oh my God. Drops back to pass. He fires it over the middle. Touchdown. Garrett Wilson. The New York Jets tie the football game. The rookie. The Jets win. The Jets win. Ashton Davis. Ice the game. Let's go. Handle Quinton Williams with the tackle for loss. That's a loss of 5 yards. Josh Allen is going to fire up a bomb. Josh Allen. Sauce Gardner's there for the game winner. The New York Jets beat the Buffalo Bills and improved to 6-3 on the year. Sauce Gardner.
That's how we get run the ball, boy. Yeah.
Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. And today we're going to be talking about the matchup between Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. It's a rematch. If you guys remember last year, the New York Jets beat the Jacksonville Jaguars at MetLife Stadium. Now, that was a completely different team on both sides of the ball. Jaguars had Urban Meyer. They were ass, right? The Jets were in year number 1 with Robert Saleh, and they were bad as well. But the Jets were able to come away with the W. And if you guys remember in that game, Zach Wilson had a 53-yard touchdown run. So that was a pretty fun game last year. I remember that. And here's a post-game picture after the fact. So now it's a rematch. But this time, we got the whole world watching on prime time football. Thursday night, the lights are on. The world's watching, and now it's completely different because Trevor Lawrence is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL the past 4 weeks. He has just been blowing it out of the water. I mean, beating the Dallas Cowboys, who is one of, if not the best defenses in the NFL. 4 touchdown passes, beating him in overtime. And Trevor Lawrence is living up to the first overall pick hype. And unfortunately for us Jets fans, Zach Wilson's not living up to the second overall pick hype. So now Zach Wilson has a really big opportunity here in his first career primetime game in the NFL to go out there and go toe-to-toe with the red-hot Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not expecting a shootout because I think our defense can contain the Jaguars enough. But we all know that the only way this Jets team wins this game is if our offense and Zach Wilson plays good football, right? And this is not going to be a full preview of the game, by the way. We're just going to focus in on the quarterback matchup and the offense. Later on today, we're going to do my flight preview of the Jets and the Jaguars, where we break down the keys to victory and the X factors and all that good stuff that we usually do on the channel. So, guys, if you're just tuning into the show, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Good morning, Hemi. Jets Jets. Let's go, John. Steven, what's up, man? Rich. Dakota says, please win this last home game, Jets. Please. And the Jags hot streak. We can do it. Yes, we can. Believe it, believe it, believe it. Morning, Richie. Let's all root for Zach and hope this team gets a dub. Hell to the yes, my man. We have to score 100%. JD Jets says, Richie, I know the vibes are down and it's been some tough L's the last few weeks, but I thought Zach looked slightly improved and I hope he can build on it and start hitting the freebies. We winning this. Love the optimism, man. Absolutely love the optimism. And the reality is, Zach Wilson did look improved against the Lions. And for everybody that's saying that, Zach Wilson stinks and all those stuff, we know that he's struggling. But if you go look at what Zach Wilson did against the Lions and you compare that game to all the other games he had this season, that's an improved Zach Wilson. And that's what we want to see, is signs of potential, signs of Zach Wilson figuring it out. Now, obviously, Zach did not have a perfect game. He missed a lot of freebies. And that's what's really going to make or break his career with the Jets if he can figure that out. And I'm excited to see what he can do against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Zach Wilson is not even a top 32 quarterback. Well, yeah, that's true this season. He's not playing good football. Statistically speaking, he is absolutely not. Hopefully, Quinnen is back. Hell yeah, man. We need Quinnen back desperately. If he plays, that is definitely going to be a big plus for the New York Jets. So before we get further into the Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence conversation, I really want to break down the quarterbacks and the numbers and the analytics and the and what we want to see from Zach in terms of winning this game. But before we do that, we're going to hear a quick word from Mojo, who's the proud sponsor of Jets Media. If you guys see here on Mojo, Zach Wilson's sitting at $23.99, and he's trending up on the market right now. So if you are a big Zach Wilson supporter, now's the time to go out there and invest in him because his price is pretty damn low and he's the starter. So if he goes out there on primetime and he has a good game and beats the Jaguars, spoiler alert, this is going to explode on the market. Zach Wilson's going to go up to around $26, $27 if I had to guess, if he does have a good game and he does beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if you are in on Zach Wilson, now's a good time to invest in him. Mike White sitting at $4.38, very cheap. He's trending down on the market. We all know why. The injuries, the fractured ribs, not going to help out Mike White's potential here on the Mojo market. But we got two studs at the wide receiver position in Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. And Garrett Wilson, he's the front runner to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's going to hit over 1,000 yards tomorrow night, which will be the first Jet receiver to do that since Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker back in 2015. As a freaking rookie. Are you kidding me, Garrett Wilson? We have a star in the making, and all he needs is a consistent quarterback to play with him for an entire season, and he's going to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. I really have confidence in that. Elijah Moore, who's been getting way more looks now in the offense, hasn't been perfect. You know, we all know that last play of the game, you wish Elijah Moore caught that ball and went down instead of running backwards. But I do like Elijah Moore's value here at $11.73 because I think he's going to continuously to rise. CJ Uzama, after getting his first two touchdowns of his Jet career, he skyrocketed up 13%. Zonovan Knight coming off a really bad performance against the Lions. The entire running game was bad. The offensive line was trash. So now's a great time to invest in Bam Knight. I mean, in a value perspective, if there's anybody on this market in the Jets perspective that you can get the most money out of for the long run, it's definitely Zonovan Knight. At $2.70, his first 3 games as a Jet, he had just under 100 yards per game. And now he's going into his fifth career game in the NFL, coming off a bad performance against the Lions. I think now is a good time to invest in Zonovan Bam Knight. So guys, scan the QR code on the screen or simply click the link down below in the description to sign up for Mojo today. They are the proud sponsor of this video. And if you live in New Jersey, you can download the app and you can invest today. And if you don't even live in New Jersey, you can still download the app and have a lot of fun out there, build your portfolio, and get it ready for when it comes to you soon. Now, let's get into the chat. I think we need to re-sign Mike White, hire a new quarterback coach with experience, and let Zach and White battle it out. Yeah, I mean, this is a whole offseason conversation that we'll definitely have, but we're in the middle of the season right now. Well, not in the middle. We're in the end of the season, and I don't really want to think about the quarterback situation in the offseason. I think that's going to, we have a whole offseason to break that down. And I'm excited to see what Zach Wilson could do because he has a chance here to prove to the coaching staff and the organization that he could be the starter next year. And it's up in the air because Mike White's an unrestricted free agent. There's no guarantee he comes back. So Zach Wilson really has the ball out tomorrow and play one of his best games. Bam really sucked against the Lions defense. Wow, he was terrible, honestly. Yeah, he was bad, but also the offensive line, if you go watch the tape, there was times when Bam Knight touches the ball and he can't even get to the line of scrimmage without being touched. That's not really on the running back. Obviously, he can do a better job of making people miss and hitting the holes harder, but the running game really comes down to the offensive line as well, man. JDS and improve the O-line, 100%. Calabrese is fired after season. Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting coach. I mean, first-time quarterback coach, Rob Calabrese from Long Island. I I actually went to high school with his cousin. So if he can't get Zach Wilson right, then you're right. He should be fired or just bring in another voice. I don't care about the offseason right now. Thursday Night Football, baby. Let's go. Exactly. Zach Wilson, 52-yard touchdown run against Jags at home last season. Exactly. Remember that? That was awesome. That was awesome. So if you want to talk about Zach Wilson, right, what does he do good? And there's no denying that Zach Wilson against the Lions had like 7 throws or 8 throws where you're sitting there like, whoa, this is why he was the second overall pick. He has that special ability that not a lot of quarterbacks can do, launching that ball down the field, having the ability to be, athletic. He's just a playmaker. He's an explosive weapon. And the New York Jets have an opportunity here to run the table and potentially make the playoffs. Now, going into the Lions game, we were all saying we got to run the table to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, that did not work. We lose. So now we actually have to run the table and hope for one of the Patriots to lose. I mean, the path is there, man. If you beat the Jaguars, you beat the Seahawks, and you beat the Dolphins, we have a 98% chance of making the playoffs. So, but let's focus on tomorrow's game first because you can't run the table without winning tomorrow, right? So when it comes to the scheme and it comes to Mike LaFleur as an offensive play caller, what do you guys want to see from the game plan perspective? The first half was great. The rollouts, the RPOs, the bootlegs, that play call to that touchdown to CJ Uzama where it's a play action boot, rolling to the left, throw across the field. I mean, that was creative stuff. So it's up to Mike LaFleur to make sure that he puts Zach Wilson in the right situation to succeed, but it's also up to the offense around Zach Wilson to execute. Wide receivers running the right routes, offensive line protecting, establishing a run game. As much as we want to see Zach Wilson succeed, it really is also on the offense around him to help him out because there's no denying the run game did not help Zach Wilson at all. The offensive line and pass protection did not help Zach Wilson at all against the Lions. So they need to improve. And I don't think we can all, expect Zach Wilson to become a superhuman and become like a Josh Allen type of quarterback for us where he is the entire team and he has to do everything. That's not what the mold of this team is about. The team is supposed to be elevating the quarterback, wide receivers bailing out the quarterback, offensive line protecting, having a amazing run game to rely on, having a defense to have confidence in, and his special teams. I mean, that's why, Zach Wilson was 5-2 before he, lost against the Lions, and now he's 5-3. It wasn't because Zach Wilson was our, the MVP of the team. It was because we had an insane defense, an insane running game, special teams, and Zach Wilson was playing turnover-free football. And that's what they got to get back to. They got to get back to their identity. And the unfortunate reality is, as a Jets fan, is the Jets are getting worse at the end of the year instead of better. And that's not what good teams do. If you're a good team, like, for example, the San Francisco 49ers, they're on a 7-game winning streak. The Cincinnati Bengals, 6-game winning streak. The good teams are the ones that get hot at the end of the year. And unfortunately for us, we were hot in the middle of the year, and now we're cold at the end of the year. So when you look at what this Jets team is going up against with the Jaguars, I mean, it's a lot to ask for Zach Wilson to play better than Trevor Lawrence. The one thing I will say is I think Zach Wilson benefits against the matchup against the Jaguars defense, whereas Trevor Lawrence has to go up against the Jets defense. And the Jets defense, I mean, we have never gave up 300-plus yard quarterback play once. The most yards a quarterback has ever had against us was back at week number 3, which was 275 yards from Joe Burrow. So we are a top 5 team against the quarterback through the air. And I think that, if the Jets team can contain Trevor Lawrence, that's going to be a big plus. But it's also about referencing the defense. When are we going to start getting turnovers? When are we going to start getting strip sacks? When are we going to be able to, do anything? Because we're going up against a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who is freaking scorching hot. I mean, he's figuring it out. We know that Lawrence was the first overall pick. And last year, it was a disappointment for Lawrence and Jaguars fans. But I think Urban Meyer was a big reason for that. You bring in Doug Peterson. It's a new scheme. Lawrence started off hot this year for the first 3 games, then went a little cold. And now the last 5 or 6 games, Lawrence is dominating. I mean, absolutely scorching hot. So now we have to first, two teams in a row. The Lions were first that are, the Lions are traditionally not a good team, but they were hot and they beat us. The Jaguars, traditionally not a good team, they're hot. And it's up to the Jets to be able to do that. And you can say that with the same breath with the Jets. The Jets, traditionally not a good team, but we are a good team this season. We are 7-7, and we still have an opportunity here to make a play for the playoffs. So, guys, if you're just tuning into the stream, if you could do me a gigantic favor, simply hit that thumbs up button, man. Really does help out the channel a lot if you can just hit that like button, man. We got 20 likes with just under 65 people watching. So please hit that like button, guys, on your way into the show. And I want to get your guys' thoughts in the live chat about Zach Wilson and what you expect from him, right? He's ruled a starter. Mike White's not playing. We got Corey Davis returning, which is huge. But unfortunately, Denzel Mims and Jeff Smith are going to be looking to be out. So the Jets are going to actually have to elevate someone off the practice squad to get 5 receivers, like an Irvin Charles or someone of that magnitude. Corey, our top 3 receivers are going to be healthy. And that's really all you want from Zach Wilson. We got Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, and Corey Davis. They're all healthy. So that's definitely a good sign. But we do need Quinnen Williams returning as well on the defensive side if we want to have any chance of really making some splash plays. But when it comes to like Zach Wilson missing the easy stuff, that's what's going to make or break his life as a New York Jets quarterback. It really is. And we all know that. He could be all flashy and make the explosive plays and make the highlight throws. But if he cannot do the easy stuff, he is not going to have a long-term career in the NFL. It's not sustainable to rely on backyard rolling out quarterback play. And I think we all know that. I need to put my glasses on, man. I need to protect my eyes from these lights. But we just need Zach to get back to his style of play, but also start playing within the structure of the offense. I mean, he showed flashes against the Lions where he would stand tall in the pocket. He would step back, step into the throw, and deliver with proper lower half mechanics. So it's not like he's never shown the ability to do it, but he needs to figure it out. Another part of Zach Wilson's game that I think that he also needs to figure out, which I don't expect him to do all of a sudden. That's something that requires a full offseason. But Zach Wilson doesn't really throw a catchable ball. And what I mean by that is he has such a strong arm, and it kind of reminds me a lot of Josh Allen in year 2, where Josh Allen has such a strong arm, he didn't really have control of it yet. He would sail the passes, he was very inaccurate, and he would throw missiles at receivers where you got to be able to have some touch. You got to be able to throw a ball that's more catchable, that's more friendly to a wide receiver. Because if you just beam balls to the point where it's like coming out of a machine 100 miles per hour, it's good velocity. It gets to them quick. But when it comes from a receiver's perspective, it's not an easy thing to catch consistently. Once in a while, it's not a bad thing to throw in a laser beam. But he needs to have some touch. He needs to reel it back sometimes. He needs to understand the ability to take a little bit off at times. And that comes with experience. That comes with, and that comes with a lot of other things, right? So Zach Wilson needs to figure out how to take the ball off a little bit. Make the balls more catchable for the receivers. And you even heard Garrett Wilson say it in preseason when Joe Flacco was named the starter after Zach Wilson got hurt, that Joe Flacco throws a very catchable ball. And I'm not just making this up. Like, Zach Wilson has a freaking arm, but he needs to figure out how to use it properly. And there's no denying that. I mean, if you can't say with a straight face that Zach Wilson does not have arm talent, because he does. And if you don't think he has arm talent, I don't know what to tell you. You're wrong. But the issue with Zach Wilson is how can he figure out how to utilize that arm talent as a weapon? How can he connect his mind to the arm? How can he connect his feet and his lower half to the arm? How can he scan defenses, make the right decisions, not make boneheaded mistakes? Because that interception he had against the Lions, doesn't matter how your arm talent, if you freaking throw ducks up, that was the worst throw you'll see. Gifting an interception, which resulted in 3 points, which evidently was the difference of the game. So it doesn't matter how good his arm is. It's all about up here. And I've always said that about quarterbacks. He got drafted second overall because of the arm, because of the potential, because of the upside that he brings. Because Zach Wilson also, he has, traits to his game that not a lot of quarterbacks have. I mean, that 4th and 18 play, the last play of the game, where he hit Elijah Moore to give the Jets a 58-yard field goal attempt. And I know that he, took sacks and he put them in that situation to begin with, but not a lot of quarterbacks are able to escape pressure, be athletic enough to move around the behind the line of scrimmage, extend plays at your feet, and then deliver a ball down the field. Like, not a lot of quarterbacks can do that. So that's really what I'm trying to say here is, Zach Wilson has a lot to figure it out. He has a lot to figuring out to do. I don't know if he's going to all of a sudden just figure it all out tomorrow night, but it's going to be more of an offseason for Zach Wilson, in my opinion. It's going to take more of his ability to, figure out his mechanics and how to scan a defense. And I also have to say, it is really cool to hear that Zach Wilson reached out to Drew Brees and Kurt Warner and all the great quarterbacks in this league that were benched, because Zach Wilson was benched, and he's not the first quarterback to ever be benched and then turn into, well, we don't know if he's going to turn into something good yet, but we'll see, man. We also need to realize that this game tomorrow night, the elements will be a factor for sure. As this guy in the chat says, isn't tomorrow a rain game? Zach is not airing it out. Well, Mike White was able to throw it in the rain. And you guys know how I feel about Mike White. Absolutely love Mike White. But Mike White's not playing tomorrow, so we're not going to talk about him. But Mike White proved that you could throw in inclement weather. I don't care it's against the Chicago Bears. He threw 3 touchdown passes, 28 attempts, 22 completions. So Zach Wilson cannot use the rain excuse to not air it out, because Mike White was very good in the air. But the reality is, man, it's such a double-edged sword with Zach Wilson, because he's young. He's the second overall pick. You want to be patient with him. You want to see him develop for the long run. But then the Jets have a chance to make the playoffs for the first time in 12 freaking years. So no one wants, and that's why the Jets made the switch to Mike White, by the way, because they feel like Zach Wilson's the future. They believe that he will turn into something special for the long run. But today, he doesn't really have it all figured out yet, like Mike White does, which is why they made the switch at the time. Mike White goes down. Now Zach Wilson's chance is back. And I cannot sit here with a straight face and tell you guys that I have 100% confidence in Zach Wilson to lead us to victory tomorrow night. I really don't. Mutfields, my man, $5 super chat. Thank you, my brother. Zach just needs to go out and have fun. Stop overthinking it. Just take what the defense gives you. Hit your weapons in the chest. You got talent. Show it off. Yeah, I mean, that's what Mike White does such a good job at. He takes what the defense gives you. He's not afraid to hit the check down. He knows where the ball needs to go. He's really good at scanning the defense. He knows how to go to number 1, number 2, number 3 read, all in a span of a one hitch. That's what Zach Wilson struggles with. Zach Wilson doesn't process things quickly in his mind, and that comes with more experience. So that's really when it comes down to the difference of Mike White and Zach Wilson. It's like Zach Wilson has all, the mobility and the athleticism and the flashiness and the explosive abilities, but he doesn't have the simple fundamental mind of a quarterback to be able to scan a defense properly, know where the ball needs to go, understand the timing, the anticipation, the whereabouts in the pocket. So that's like, I wish Zach Wilson could just take those parts of Mike White's game and implement it into his own, because then we got a special freaking quarterback if that was the case. If it was simple enough, that would be it. But obviously it's not reality. It's not a reality. So $5 donation, my friend, means a lot. Clear-cut candidates. What should we bring in? What do you mean by this, John? Clear-cut candidates referring to what? Not sure what you're referring to, John, in terms of clear-cut candidates. But I appreciate the $2, John. I'm not sure what you mean. Jets fans are hilarious. Oh, yeah, Pug? Thanks. Thanks for thinking I'm funny. Zach's 1-3 since Brees and AVT went down. Wins aren't a quarterback stat. Zach has won us one game, Steelers, and he put us in position to have to come back with 2 picks anyway. Need to earn his job. Prove it. Absolutely, he needs to prove it. Prove it. Like, listen, there's nothing wrong with Jets fans to support Zach Wilson and root for him. And I mean, first of all, every Jets fan should be rooting for Zach tomorrow. If you're a Jets fan and you're going into tomorrow night rooting for Zach to fail, so you can like prove you were right about Zach sucking. Like, what are you doing? Are you a Jets fan or are you just an anti-Zach Wilson fan? There's a big difference. So, in my perspective, it comes down to he needs a lot of proving to do. This fan base is not going to crown Zach Wilson as the franchise quarterback until he proves it. And we're in a hostile environment. It's New York. And like Robert Saleh said, we're in the instant coffee era where we want instant results. And the reality is, not every quarterback figures it out right away. There is a lot of, examples of guys figuring it out quickly, like Herbert, like Mahomes, and all these guys. But, I mean, even Trevor Lawrence in year 2. Now, Rich, you the man. I was talking about the Jets fans are hilarious. I saw at the stadium. No shirt in the cold yelling. We are hilarious, man. Jets fans are another freaking breed. I love us. Appreciate you, my man. Chris, thank you for the $5, my man. Thoughts on Jordan Love as competition for Zach? I don't know, Chris. I really personally don't really want to talk about the offseason and the quarterbacks when we have a big game tomorrow night. But obviously, there's a lot of different quarterback scenarios you can bring up regarding the offseason. You can bring up Derek Carr. You can bring up Jimmy G. You could bring up even Lamar Jackson, re-signing Mike White, trading for Love. I mean, there's so many different options out there. But let's focus on tomorrow night, baby. Let's get this dub. Let's have Zach Wilson lead us to victory and somehow, some way beat Trevor Lawrence, who is playing like an elite quarterback. We need to see this up. Another thing I noticed about the offense under Zach Wilson on Sunday, which is not a good thing, is it lost its rhythm, right? And that's going to happen when you establish a rhythm with one quarterback, with Mike White, and then you got another quarterback who has a completely different play style. So the rhythm and the timing gets a little off, the tempo, right? Mike White is the quarterback that drops back, gets rid of the ball within 2 seconds, where Zach Wilson holds on to the ball too long because he can't read defenses as quickly. So I'm hoping that with Zach Wilson's first game back, he got that out of the way. Now he has, a short week. Can he get the timing? Also, Also, I want Zach Wilson to feed Garrett Wilson a lot more. He only had 4 catches. I don't know how many targets he had, but he had 4 catches for 98 yards. Garrett Wilson should get like 10 plus targets a game. He is the key to the offense. I mean, Garrett Wilson is the key. And I also want to see, which we did see a lot against the Lions, a lot of explosive deep throws, a lot of play calls to take shots down the field, because that's the thing that Zach Wilson has that Mike White doesn't. The ability to throw the ball 60-plus yards down the field. We have the playmakers to get deep, to go deep. We got Garrett Wilson that can get open on a double move. Elijah Moore can do it. Even Corey Davis can do it. Allow Zach Wilson to uncork his arm because he has that ability. So I want Zach Wilson to continuously stretch the field. Throw the ball down the field and play ball, man. Don't rely on the backyard style football stuff. That's a great thing. It's an awesome thing to have. And that's what makes the great quarterbacks in today's league. The Mahomes of the world, the Herberts, the Hurts, Burrow. The young, great quarterbacks, they all possess a unique ability to extend plays and play backyard style quarterback when they have to. But those same quarterbacks, they also have an ability to play football within the pocket and step into your throws properly, read defenses properly. Like, and that's what Zach Wilson needs to figure out. And it's not a secret. I'm not saying anything that you guys don't already know. And I also don't like that, we want the coaches, we want the play calling to utilize his strengths and get Zach Wilson on the move, call rollouts. But I also don't think that it's fair to LaFleur that he has to, limit his play calling to just rollouts, to just getting Zach Wilson on the move. I completely agree he has to do that, utilize his strengths. But you're telling me an offensive coordinator has to limit his playbook to the point where he doesn't feel confident of his own quarterback to make throws within the pocket? That's an issue. It's a big issue that we have an offensive coordinator that has to call plays just to, get the quarterback on the run because he can't even make the easy stuff. And that's what it comes down to, man. And I completely agree. The rollouts is the best thing for Zach Wilson because he gets on the run. I mean, all of his explosive plays came from, honestly, Zach Wilson's best throw against the Lions actually came from the pocket, in my opinion. That 3rd and 19 on that final drive of the game, when he delivered the crossing route to Garrett Wilson, that was phenomenal. That was from the pocket. I don't know if you guys know exactly what throw I'm talking about, but it was 3rd down and 19. The ball was snapped. Zach Wilson drops back in the pocket, steps into the throw, perfect fundamentals, perfect mechanics, delivers an accurate ball to Garrett Wilson, streaking across the middle of the field to the sideline, and that was a first down, 20-yard completion. Those are the throws where you're like, okay, Zach, you see that you can do it. Do that more consistently, please. So, and it also comes down to the offensive line giving him that pocket. You can't ask Zach to just be a pocket passer when the offensive line can't give him a freaking pocket consistently. So there's so many different things that you can bring up. Another thing I want to see from Zach Wilson tomorrow night. We saw one play call for this. More read options, more design runs, more running the football. We saw Zach Wilson take a 53-yard touchdown run last year against the Jaguars. What better to do it against the Jaguars again when the whole world's watching? They call it a read option on 3rd down and 1. Finally, right? 3rd and 1. I was screaming at the TV during my live stream. Call the read option. Put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands. Let him run. He is an athlete. It was a great design. He kept it. A wide open hole presented itself. He planted his feet in the ground. He cut up the field, dove forward, first down Jets. He is athletic. He can pick up yards with his legs. He can make people miss in the open field. I'm not saying Zach Wilson is a Josh Allen because Josh Allen is not human when it comes to running the football. But Zach Wilson is an athlete. He can make people miss in the open field. He can, he has speed. He could take it the house. So there's a lot of things I want to see from Zach tomorrow. And I know, I don't want to make the expectations going to be too skyrocketed high. Because the reality of it, if you look at what this Jets team, or you know how some people are like, yeah, well, the Jets were 5-2 with Zach Wilson. Now they're 5-3 with Zach Wilson. He has a winning record. Well, why were they winning those games, guys? How were the Jets winning with Zach Wilson? I'll tell you how. They had Breece Hall, who was playing like the best running back in the NFL. The run game was unstoppable. They had a defense at that time that was ripping the ball away, taking away the ball, getting sacks, getting interceptions, and helping out the offense. We also had a special teams that was pinning people deep on punts. They were hitting all their field goals. They were blocking punts for touchdowns. So we've lost all of those things. That's why we were winning with Zach. Zach also was not turning the ball over as well, which is a big plus. So, you want Zach Wilson to play well individually, but I think we all know the only way this Jets team wins is if we get back to the identity of how we were winning with Zach Wilson in the first place. Dominant run. Play defense. Turn the ball over on defense. And it's going to be hard against a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who has like 14 touchdowns to 1 interception in his last 5 games. But we have the ballers on this defense to make plays. And it's kind of really ridiculous that this Jets team on defense can't get the ball. And I also don't think it's fair that we have to rely on our defense to turn the ball over to win games. Because if you think about it, this defense against the Lions, they only allowed 13 points and they fell apart in the clutch. But we need them to start getting to the quarterback and help out the offense because that's why we were winning. And if you want to talk about playoffs, that's what this team's got to do. We're not going to be a playoff team if we're not good around the quarterback. And that's why when we were on a 4-game winning streak, it was so ridiculous because the world was like, wow, the Jets are winning. And Zach Wilson has like 150 yards with no touchdowns, no interceptions, and they don't lose. They don't lose. Well, they didn't lose because our defense was playing unreal. Our running game was dominant. Our coaching also was great. The clock management and those games were phenomenal. And unfortunately, everything's regressing, folks. It's the reality of it. Robert Saleh made a gigantic mistake with the clock management. And I think Robert Saleh has been sensational with clock management up until the Lions game. You know, the way he handled the clock against the Packers to win that game in the 4th. The way he handled the clock against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, there was a lot of instances where Saleh was perfect with clock management. But obviously on Sunday against the Lions, the clock management was awful and a reason why we didn't have a chance to tie the game. But my overall, the topic of today's stream, Zach Wilson versus Trevor Lawrence, quarterback versus quarterback. But I think we all understand, going back to my main point, is the team's got to play better around Zach if we want to be a playoff team. The only way we run the table, guys, and win tomorrow, first and foremost, is if the defense gets back to doing what they were doing all season long, and if the run game can get going. I mean, we have Zonovan Knight. Zonovan Knight is proven to be a good running back. It's a fresh juice. He had a bad game against the Lions. I understand that. We still got Michael Carter, who I got a lot of faith in. I know he had a bad game against the Bills, but we still got a playmaker in Carter. So I'm really hoping that this could be the game where we can rely on the run game. I'm not going to the game tomorrow. I'll be live streaming with Jack. We're going to be moving my studio. If you guys remembered last year when I did the stream with Jack every game, we were in a different area. So we're going to move my equipment to my den, and we're going to be live streaming throughout the entire game tomorrow night. Because we also have to realize tomorrow night, let me check the weather. What's the weather looking like in East Rutherford tomorrow? Let's see. All right. So Thursday, a high of 51 with 50. Oh, man. It's going to be raining. That's not good. Thursday low will be 27 degrees between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. The high will be 51 degrees. And it looks like it's going to be windy. So it's going to be a rainy, windy night. It's going to be, it's not going to be freezing. 51 degrees is not freezing for New York. That's for sure. I don't know what it's going to be like at kickoff because that's going to be at night. But, yeah, so that's really the weather. But the rain and the wind is what's going to be the determining factor of the elements. This is the energy we need. $2 donation from my guy. Says Zach will lead us to 3-0 playoffs if the boys shows up. Hell yeah, baby. Come on. This is the optimism we need, Jets fans. Wake up. We're in a playoff opportunity. I know we lost 3 in a row. I understand the vibes are low, but we are 7-7. We are playing meaningful games in December. Let's get pumped up. Let's get the optimism energy flowing, and let's freaking go, baby. Thank you for the $2. Chris with another $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. I want to see James Robinson used more regularly. If he's healthy, there's no reason for Finn to be sitting. I'm not convinced Carter is better than him. I personally don't think that the Jets would ever inactivate Carter over Robinson. Carter is their own draft pick. I personally think Carter is better than Robinson right now. I just feel like Robinson looks like he lost a step. He looks a little slow out there, and Carter brings a little more. And the issue is Zonovan Knight is definitely playing over him. So is Carter. And Ty Johnson is that third back, but Ty Johnson gets the ability over him because of special teams. And that's what people don't realize. I know a lot of people are like, oh, special teams. Who cares about special teams? Special teams matters, folks. Special teams is a big deal. So Ty Johnson is active for special teams purposes. And that's what you have to accept. I mean, it does suck that we traded for Robinson. He doesn't play. I get all that. But I'm just giving you the thinking behind it in the coaching stance perspective. We need Braden Mann to play better. He sucks, right? Greg Zuerlein, I know that you missed a 58-yarder. That's a lot to ask from you, my friend, but let's see you hit it again. Let's don't see you do that again. If you get a 58-yard attempt to win the game for the Jets, I better see that man hit it, okay? We need a big show up from O-line. No excuses. Say that again, my friend. The offensive line has been so freaking bad. And we need that unit to step the hell up. Step the hell up. Big time. And we're healthy right now. Like, the offensive line is I know the AVT's not there. I get all that. But, like, the offensive line is as healthy as it could be at this point of the season outside of the season-ending injuries. So, come on. Trevor Lawrence will not own Sauce. That is no one's ever owned Sauce once this season. Ever. It's never happened. It's the reality of it. You can believe all that you want. It ain't happening. Hey, maybe Sauce is due to have a bad game. He's a rookie. It happens. But he hasn't had it yet. There's not been one bad game from Sauce this season. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. He's had better games than others. But he's coming off a game where he wasn't targeted once because teams are afraid to throw his way. People are afraid to throw his way. And for the people that are expecting Trevor Lawrence to have his best game, I don't think they understand the defense that they're going up against. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is playing great football, and I give him all the credit in the world. But I have to remind everybody that are Jets haters in the chat right now. This Jets defense has not allowed one quarterback to go over 275 yards once this season. Do I have to repeat myself? The Jets defense has not allowed one quarterback to get near 300-plus yards. The only quarterback to get close was Joe Burrow, which was week number 3, and that was 275 yards. That's because of our defense. That's because of our secondary. That's because of our pass rush. So if you think you're going to walk into MetLife Stadium and have an easy we're going to torch this Jet, you don't know what you're talking about. Because the truth is, this Jets defense, and they went up against good quarterbacks too. They made Josh Allen look trash. And we all know Josh Allen ain't no bum. He's a great quarterback. So Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. He's red hot. And he could very well have the best game against this Jets defense, for all I know. But this Jets defense has proven that they do not allow big games from quarterbacks. And it's a fact. It hasn't happened once. But the reality is, the defense, I got confidence in containing Trevor Lawrence. I don't think they're going to dominate. I don't think the defense is going to hold Trevor Lawrence and make him look bad. I think the defense, if I had to say, Trevor Lawrence will get like 270 or maybe 280. Maybe he does get 300 yards. Maybe he gets a couple touchdowns. But this game for me personally is going to be all about our offense. Because you can't expect this defense to just play shutout football and win, right? You got to be able to score points. And that's what it comes down to. And that's why I feel like, I wanted to make this stream about Zach Wilson versus Trevor Lawrence, because That's what I want this to become. I don't want it to be a shootout where our defense is getting exposed, but I do want our offense to start scoring freaking points and seeing some touchdowns. You feel me? You can't rely on our defense to just do everything. They held the Lions to 13 points. We gave up 7 points on the punt. I mean, we held the Lions, who was the hottest offense in football, who averages over 28 points per game, to 20 points, and we still couldn't win because our offense couldn't score, and that's the issue. Guaranteed RD will scare Trevor to win. Let's go. I love that energy, baby. I got confidence in that. Trevor Lawrence is playing great, but he hasn't seen this Jets D before, so we'll see. And this Jets defense also beat Lawrence last year when our defense was even worse. Trevor Lawrence looked pretty bad last season against our defense, and it was bad. Chris with another $5 says, famous words of TD, Richie, stop lying to these people. The Jets are going to whoop these bums. Yeah. AFC East Roundtable tonight, guys, by the way. If you don't know what the AFC East Roundtable is, I go live with the Dolphins, a Bills, and a Patriots YouTuber every single Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's on a separate YouTube channel called the AFC East Roundtable. We're going to be debating, and we're going to be talking about the current state of the AFC East. So, Chris, can't wait to see you tonight, my friend, and let's go Jets. Zach beat Trevor, 55-yard touchdown. Go Zach. Oh, yeah, he did. He's going to do it again. How hilarious would it be if Zach Wilson being 2-0 against Trevor Lawrence when we all know Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback? That'll be funny. Hey, a big piece to the Jets win against the Jaguars last year, though, was also Berrios returning a touchdown. Can Berrios do that again? Because he's been a big disappointment this year. So we'll see, man. Now, I know I just offended some Jets fans saying that Trevor Lawrence is better than Zach Wilson. I get it. I'm sorry. But I'm just speaking off of like what we're seeing on the field right now. Okay? Trevor Lawrence has 14 touchdowns and 1 interception in his last 5 games or something like that. I mean, come on, Jets fans. Let's not start putting our delusional goggles on and step back and give credit where it deserves. I love Zach Wilson. I wish he lived it up. But if you can't admit that Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback right now, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, come on here. Don't be that. It's a fact. But that doesn't mean that Zach Wilson can't play better than Trevor Lawrence tomorrow night. No reason for that. There's a good chance that he does. There's also a good chance he doesn't. Like, if Zach Wilson was doing what Trevor Lawrence was doing, I'd be on top of this world. Finally saying that we have our guy. And I'm just giving credit to where it's due. But at the same time, in my opinion, the jury's not out on Zach Wilson yet. He has tomorrow night to prove himself. And if Mike White's not ready to go, he has the last 2 games to prove himself. So, Zach Wilson, this is your chance, buddy. He got benched. He had to deal with it. He had 3 weeks to reset. And then this is your last chance to really prove, to have a chance to be the quarterback next season. Because that's also what this is about, guys. Zach Wilson is playing for the opportunity to be the starter next season. And I know there's a lot of Zach truthers out there, and you guys know where I stand with Zach. I've always supported him. I defend him when he's playing like shit. I talk about it, and I say, what can he improve on? But I also keep it real with the struggles. I also see his potential is freaking sky high. I mean, he has potential to be a great quarterback, but he hasn't proved that he can do the stuff that makes him that type of quarterback. And that's the reality of it. SB3 Standards with another $10. Thank you, my friend. Remember, Trevor at 6'5" ran out of bounds at the end of the game last year instead of headfirst scoring. Zach, The only thing Trevor has right now over Zach is consistency, not ceiling. Zach higher. I can get behind this. I love this. Listen, when I said Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback than Zach Wilson, I was just speaking on today, okay? I'm just speaking on the last 5 weeks, what we've seen in year number 2. That's a fact. But I'm not saying that it could be in the future. Zach Wilson could prove to be better next year. There's no reason that can't happen. A lot of things has to happen for sure. But the reality is Trevor Lawrence is playing better football this season than Zach Wilson. And that's an unfortunate pill to swallow as a Jets fan base. But he also was the first overall pick. And we have the second overall pick. So I'm rooting for. Listen, man, if Zach Wilson balls out tomorrow and he plays better than Trevor Lawrence, then you'll hear me on Friday saying Zach Wilson's better for sure. Like, say Zach Wilson balls out 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and the Jets win. Trevor Lawrence has 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. What am I saying on Friday morning, folks? That Zach Wilson's better. You know that. Oh, yeah, I'm saying that. But that needs to happen. Total disagree. Zach will be the starter next year. Who's taking White on their fantasy league? Come on, people. Legend keeps growing. Hey, man, the only reason why that you have to realize that there is an opportunity that Zach's not the starting quarterback next season is because this organization has proved to not be afraid to move off of Zach. I mean, they benched him. If they'd never benched Zach and Zach was playing like bad and he was still playing football, I probably wouldn't believe this. But they've proved that they see a lot of upside in Mike White. And Zach Wilson has to prove to the organization that he is the future tomorrow night. Like, this is it, Zach. Come on. He needs to play all 4 quarters, right? Like, the issue with Zach Wilson against the Lions was the third quarter. He lost the Jets the game in the third quarter. Now, I don't think he was the reason why the Jets lost. I think he was part of the reason. There's a lot of other things why the Jets lost. Defense, we know. Special teams, yes. Salah, yes. Zach, yes. Okay? But Zach played 4 quarters against the Lions. And I think you got to admit, Zach Wilson played 3 great quarters against the Lions. 3 good quarters. 3 of them. He had 1 bad quarter, and that was in the third. And that's where the Jets lost because Zach Wilson threw an interception. And then the defense gives up 3 points. And then the defense started playing excellent football in the third quarter. Getting a stop. Punt. All right, Zach Wilson, we're down by 3. Go tie the game or take the lead. Nope. Punt. Defense gets another stop. Zach Wilson in the third quarter gets another opportunity. Misses easy throws. This is where Zach Wilson needs to improve. He needs to string together a full game. A full game of 4 quarters of consistent quarterback play, and that's where he's going to ball out. And I love Zach Wilson's abilities to be an explosive quarterback and his abilities to make people miss in the open field, escape the pocket, and have those explosive hero-style plays. But I don't want to sound like a broken record, guys, but he has to start making the easy throws. He has to. He absolutely has to because his play style is not sustainable. We have to see a Zach Wilson consistent 4-quarter play, making throws in the pocket. I mean, I personally think one of Zach Wilson's best games of his career was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season. That was the best pocket quarterback play you've ever will see from Zach Wilson. He was throwing with timing, with anticipation, with accuracy, with poise. And we need to see that, man. Optimistic Jag fan says, our teams ain't rivals. I'm excited for the game. Me too, my friend. Me too. Thank you so much for the $2. Good luck tomorrow night. Your Jaguars are red hot right now. And I think the Jaguars, I mean, hopefully you don't, right? Because I want to beat you tomorrow. But the Jaguars actually have a chance to not only, make the playoffs, but win their division. I mean, the Titans are free falling. And all the Jaguars need is to be one game behind the Titans heading into that last game of the season, and that game will be for the division. So that's pretty cool. I mean, screw the Titans. I honestly, like, the Titans are so overrated. Like, they're always in the playoffs. Like, I, as a football fan, would prefer to see the Jaguars in the playoffs than the Titans. Just in my NFL fandom perspective, right? SB3 Standards with another $10. Thank you so much for these donations, my friend. Really does mean a lot. Mike White is mediocrity. If the plan is to win a Super Bowl now, then get a new quarterback while Zach develops. It's not Mike White. Zach should play out this year. We have exceeded all expectations already. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I think, this is my take on the Mike White versus Zach Wilson. I think we've seen the ceiling of Mike White. I think we know what we're getting with Mike White. He's a quarterback that stays in the pocket, can stand tall, take the hits, let it rip over the middle of the field, clutch throws. He's limited in his mobility. He's limited in his ability to, escape pressure. And I get all that. And I think Zach Wilson's ceiling is so much higher than Mike White. But Mike White knows how to operate a system. Mike White knows how to put the ball in the playmaker's hands. Mike White can help develop an offense with Garrett Wilson and the young playmakers that we have. So that's where it all comes down to. So I think Zach Wilson has a way higher ceiling than Mike White, but also Mike White is a quarterback that you have confidence in that can execute an offensive game plan. I don't think Mike White has proven to be the franchise quarterback for the Jets, but I would love Zach Wilson to be, I would love Mike White, if he's not the guy, to be our long-term backup quarterback. Because one thing that Jets fans can all agree with, which sucks, is that we can never, in our wildest dreams, have a quarterback play all 17 games. Whether it's because of injuries or being benched, we can never have a quarterback stay healthy for 17 games, which is why no matter if Mike White's the starter next year or not, you got to re-sign that man. Because if we go into the season next year with whoever the starter is and he goes down in training camp or he goes injured in the middle of the season, I want Mike White to get back out there. So I'm hoping Mike White is a Jet next year, regardless if he's the starter or not. Is that too much to ask? Is Mike White an excellent backup quarterback? I would argue he's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. You got Cooper Rush. We'll see what Gardner Minshew can do Sunday. But Mike White's got to be a Jet forever, in my opinion. Not saying as the franchise quarterback, so don't twist my words. I want him to be at least to be the backup quarterback for a long, long time. Oh, man. So, tomorrow night, folks. It all comes down to tomorrow night. Now, this stream went longer than expected because we got into a heated discussion about the quarterbacks. I will be going live later on today about doing a flight preview where we're going to really get into the game plan for the Jets. How do we win? Where this one was all about Zach Wilson, all about Trevor Lawrence, all about the quarterbacks and the offenses. So, yeah, that's really what to expect on the channel. We also got an AFC's roundtable tonight. Why hasn't anybody discussed Zach's beautiful touchdown throw in the first half when our receiver was hugged? Ball was perfect, and SB 3 touchdowns. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Jeff Smith play, that was a very, very good throw from Zach Wilson, and it should have been a touchdown. 100%. Should have been touchdown for sure, and no pass interference was called. Very unfortunate. Zach Wilson could have had 3 touchdown passes, which he's never had once in his career. Jeff Smith was turned into Justin Jefferson on that drive. I mean, he had the explosive bob, he had an out route, and then he had that almost touchdown. So shout out Jeff Smith. Unfortunately, he's not going to be playing on tomorrow night with an injury. But SB3 Standards, thank you for the donations, my friend. Richie, no hat? Nah, I got a haircut today, so I didn't want to put a hat on. Richie, you kind of look like Mike White. I am Mike White. I don't know if you didn't know that. Armando, I got Zach's back. Defense cost us the game. Let's keep it real. Armando, appreciate the $5, my man. I got Zach's back too, but you got to admit, man, it's not all on the defense, in my opinion. I don't think it's all on the defense. I don't think it's all on Zach. I don't think it's all on the special teams. I don't think it's all on the coach. I think it's a collective team loss that we had on Sunday. Because the defense, they kept this team in it every single possession in that third quarter. And they gave Zach Wilson, the offense, every single opportunity to go take the lead. And it took them until the late fourth quarter to finally take the lead. And that's where the Jets defense fumbled. So, yes, the defense fumbled the game. But I think also Zach Wilson did. And I think also Mike LaFleur did. I think you can blame so many freaking people, okay? So many. I just personally do not think that you can blame one individual or one side of the ball. That's my perspective of it. So, guys, I'm going to wrap up the show here. I appreciate all the support here on the channel. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. The donations were fantastic in today's stream. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Big shout out to my Mets for getting Carlos freaking Correa. Big shout out to my Knicks for winning 8 in a row. Sorry, I had to call up my other squads because life is looking good. All I need is another Knicks dub tonight and a Jets dub tomorrow, and this would be a very good holiday weekend for me. So, guys, happy holidays. Merry Christmas this weekend. Happy Hanukkah to anybody who is celebrating that holiday currently. And Happy New Year's, right? No, wait, that's not till next week. But yeah, man, let's freaking go Jets. I'll see you guys later today on the roundtable, and I might go live again today. Let's freaking go. You know what? I might do the flight preview tomorrow instead. It's on game day. It makes more sense, right? Yeah. So we'll do the flight preview tomorrow, and then we'll do the live stream at night. And yeah, tonight will be the AFC's roundtable. So I'll see you there. Hit that thumbs up button, and let's go Jets. Peace out, everybody.